Wemby got a Player of the Week. No surprise there, but what are you seeing from him that's elevating him to this level of spectacular play he's had the first 4 games?
I think he's been efficient for the most part in terms of taking care of the basketball and his decision making. And obviously, he's had quite productive games throughout the short season so far in terms of putting up stats and helping us win with and without the basketball. But I think obviously some of the efficiency in playing clean basketball has played a big part.
He had a ton of turnovers in the preseason, and then he had his first turnover last week. What would you think explains the component?
I think there's a few probably explanations. One, I think his level of, not that he didn't take the preseason unserious, but I do think at times you try things, experiment things, as I said the other night, even us as coaches, in terms of combinations, plays, actions that you may just want to get a feel for, that you may have seen in practice or had an idea, but to see it on the court against live competition can be different. We missed a few guys during the preseason as well in terms of some of our primary ball handlers. So he was probably handling the ball in some situations even more in the preseason in some situations that he probably hasn't been in the regular season. And I think the biggest reason or explanation is just I think he's been very locked in and focused on playing fundamentally sound, good basketball. And when there's been a crowd or he's got more than one to the basketball, he's got off the ball early and made good passes to his teammates. And obviously the stats that you just talked about reflect that.
Speaking of turnovers, is there something that Steph needs to do to recognize better to, lower his turnovers?
Yeah, and he knows that, and it's early in the season. And again, he's being asked to do a lot right now because we also need him to attack and be aggressive and then organize and then execute and then also get your teammate shots. And so it's like at times there will be a few car crashes or a few times where, you lose the ball, and we understand that, and there's no high level of concern regarding Steph with that. I think we're asking him to do a lot right now, especially with our availability and who we have. And he's answering the call, and he also knows part of his growth is continue to be efficient and similar to Vic, but a very different kind of optics of when the situation happens in terms of when you have multiple people guarding you and showing you crowd, your teammates open, deliver the pass. And sometimes that's earlier rather than later. And I think he's very adamant at times in getting to the paint, which we need, and he's very impactful at, and it's a balancing act.
You mentioned the guys you have available when you have a back-to-back and you're only playing 8 guys or so. Is that an extra challenge to work through?
Yeah, we'll play 10 tonight for sure. It's just we'll play 10.
And how have you thought that Carter has handled his minutes so far?
I think he's been great. I think he's bright-eyed, and he's wet behind the ears, and he's trying to do everything right. He's making loud mistakes, and I can't wait for him to continue to just slowly learn that he can make less of those mistakes, and the game will slow down, and he'll be able to recognize patterns quicker and quicker, but I have no complaints with Carter Bryant.
How are you just enjoying the process of having, Dylan Harper, Carter Bryant, Stephon Castle, Wemby, there's others, but it's a pretty impressive group of very young players. And just as a young coach yourself, how are you kind of enjoying and appreciating the opportunity?
Yeah, we have been fortunate to have some opportunities to add really good players that are really good people and are fun to coach. So I am enjoying the process, and Brian Wright and the rest of the organization on the front office and management side get a ton of credit for that because they did a great job identifying those guys. And they've all bought in, and they want success with and for each other, which goes into that. So it's pretty cool to see.
Sandro joked with me that he was surprised he's getting a tribute video tonight. What are your impressions of him? Have you talked to him before tonight? Are you excited to see him? I
didn't talk to him recently. I've been very happy for him. He was obviously a big part of what we have done here recently. Great guy. Sandro's a big part of what we did. One of the fan favorites, and all the guys in the locker room loved him. And just hope he misses some shots tonight.
Coach, with De'Aaron Fox coming back soon and Dylan improving quickly, how do you see them fitting together in the same lineup if you want to see that happen?
Yeah, I think we've seen this and discussed this here for a couple of years now. We won't be concerned or disappointed with trying to figure out how to play good players together. And so those are two good players you named. We've got a few of them on this roster that haven't had a lot of time on the court together. And we've seen that even in the first few games, that some of this stuff is going to take time. But when you got good people that are trying to play well together and they do have a considerable amount of talent, we'll figure it out. May take some time, may have some growing pains or clunky moments, but those guys will play together.
I know Devin was really looking forward to this season after several years of kind of rough off seasons, injuries, recovery, a lot of that stuff. Where do you see his headspace right now and just the way he's performing so far?
I don't want to speak for him and that, but from my vantage point, I think, I know you asked about Devin, but him and Keldon for me sometimes, because it's very similar parallels at times. I see an adult. I see a very mature mentality. I see someone that is comfortable in their own skin. I see somebody that is playing winning basketball and making impact with and without the basketball and on both sides of the floor and really enjoying it. And it's fun to watch for me personally, again, because I've been here with those guys since day one. So,
How much of a difference does it make, I guess, going back to the Devin thing, that he actually had an off season to put work in and not recover from foot surgery? How much of a difference does that make? Yeah.
Huge. I think it's not, you could probably go around the league or most sports or lines of work, and anyone who's had a good off season, whatever that means for that person or group of people, it usually leads to them having a good start to their season or whatever they're trying to execute. And I think Devin is a reflection of that. And it's just good to see, because a lot of the things that you reference in terms of his offseason were not in his control. And so I know there's been some frustration on his end in the past. And so it's really good to see him be able to have the confidence to take advantage of having the opportunity he did this offseason.
You guys added Kelly Olynyk in the offseason. What's he added? What does he bring to a group of young players? It's a pretty high IQ bet.
Experience. He's seen this whole league. I think he's been with 6 or 7 teams. Some have won a ton. Some have lost a ton. Very skilled. He's played a few different positions in terms of what his role's been on certain teams and lineups he's played with. And I think he'll be someone that we can fit with quite a few lineups, and will really be able to help us as the season goes on.
Vic is third in the league at attempts at the rim, but Dylan is fourth. And that's, like, you don't have guards that high usually. It's usually for big. So what have you seen from him as far as, like, his determination and his creativity to get to the rim and actually convert?
Yeah, he's got multifaceted in terms of very good with both hands, skill set, change of speed, kind of has an uncanny, natural ability for that. Sometimes it's hard to teach in terms of that changing speed, understanding angles, keeping the defense off balance or out of position. And he's done a really good job of kind of picking his spots. Sometimes when you watch a running back and you don't understand how he gets through certain holes or spaces that seems like other guys can't. And I think Dylan has a little bit of that.
Thank you.
Thank you.